Hey, I've been using a tool called Roam Research the last couple of weeks. And what it is a research note-taking tool that lets you interconnect the notes that you're taking, the ideas that you have, and kind of helps you build literal connections between the things that you're working on, things that you're writing, notes that you're taking from other places. And if you keep them sort of all in the same format in this one place, you start building this web of information that's sort of like a virtual map of the kinds of things that might be happening in your internal brain. At least that's the idea. Anyway, I've been using this tool, Roam Research. It works really well. It's quite fun to play around with. And it costs a little bit. It's not a crazy expensive thing, but it's also not cheap. And there's a few things about it that while it's good for writing and interconnecting, is maybe not the most efficient thing for just inserting a small handful of, say, things you already have on note cards somewhere else. I was also been sort of playing around with what else is available to do these things. A little bit of searching for sort of alternatives to this, just to also see if there's like other ways that people have made tools work, led me to a program called TiddlyWiki. And TiddlyWiki is sort of a similar thing. You create little cards and you can interlink the cards between each other. Anything that's blue here is takes you to another card. And these things are kind of interlinked, interconnected, much like the way that links on Wikipedia sort of jump you back and forth from piece to piece. So you kind of like get this interconnection of ideas. One step closer to actual Roam was this one that I found that's built on TiddlyWiki and adds this sort of other layers of visualizing interconnection, was called TiddlyRoam. And so I just thought, this is something I've been finding fun and useful, and perhaps some of you might find it fun and useful also. So I'm just going to quickly walk you through how to download this, the couple other things you need to set up, and then how to just get started using it for your own research and thinking. An advantage of TiddlyWiki and TiddlyRoam over Roam Research is that Roam Research, you have to be internet connected to use it. TiddlyWiki is built on this idea that you just download a file, and if you use the right web browser or download their Tiddly Desktop program, you can run this all on your own computer. And it saves it all in one HTML file, which you can then also easily back up on like GitHub or on another server or on Google Drive. And you could also easily put it on a thumb drive if you need to. I like that feature of like not having to be connected to the internet. I like that feature of just being able to like take my laptop anywhere that I go and kind of disconnect from other things, but still be able to work on these ideas. So those are some of the things that sort of led me to these alternatives. Just to give you an idea of like what Roam Research is like, it builds as you sort of like create pages and notes and link them. It kind of pays attention to where they're linked and can build you this kind of graphic that shows you that, like what things connect to different ideas. So you quickly get this sort of idea of how your work and thinking might be interrelated. Even pretty disparate things might have only a few degrees separating them. From like a novel design perspective, can be interesting to know. If you go to TiddlyWiki.com and you go to Getting Started, it jumps you down to this Getting Started card, which just says download empty. So what happens is you hit download empty and it downloads an empty.html. And then it gives you some instructions here, like how to use it. You can't just open it in a browser and have it save everything automatically. You need to use a browser that's set up, or a set of plugins that are set up to do this. The one that I would recommend that you download, which then will also work with TiddlyRoam, is called Tiddly Desktop. And so if we click on, depending on what computer system you have, it'll give you suggestions for what to try. On Mac and on Windows and on Linux, Tiddly Desktop all shows up in this list right here. So if we click on Mac, Tiddly Desktop, it opens a new card to show us that There's a video that tells you how to use Tiddly Desktop, so if you need that, it's there for you. But we just go to the GitHub page. We scroll down, and we can see down here that there is a 32-bit Linux, 64-bit Linux, 64-bit Mac. That's what I need, but if you're using Windows, there's also a 32 or a 64-bit Windows zip file. So I'm going to download the Mac one, and we'll get to that, back to that in a second. Okay, so we go back to TiddlyWiki, and I'm going to download the empty file. So show in Finder. Okay, so I've got my Tiddly Desktop that's downloaded. I've got my empty.html that's downloaded. So I'm going to rename this TiddlyWiki demo. I'm going to leave this in the downloads folder just so I can find it easily and then get rid of it when I'm done, since this is just going to be a demo. But I'd recommend you put this somewhere smart on your computer system that makes sense for like what you're going to use this research for. So put it in, maybe just put it in your documents folder, because it's going to be just like your general place that you start storing all the things you're kind of looking at and thinking about. Or if you have it, if you're doing this maybe on a project by project basis, like you want research just for one project to kind of be contained, you could download this, these empties over and over again and sort of put them where you need them so that they make the most sense. Tiddly Desktop, it should just download the app. You can try opening it. You might need to go to System Preferences. Oh yeah, here we go. Cannot be verified by Apple. If you get this alert, you need to go to System Preferences. You go to Security and Privacy, and you want to make sure that you, it says right here, Tiddly Desktop was blocked. I'm going to tell it to open it anyway, because I know I trust this app. I trust this developer. I'm going to tell Apple to ignore that it thinks that it's problematic. Okay, so we've got our Tiddly Desktop open. But what we need to do is we need to add our wiki demo to Tiddly Desktop. I have some things in here already. If you've not opened anything, this will just be blank, and you just need to do add a wiki file. And we need to find our new TiddlyWiki demo file, or whatever you've decided to call this. I hit open, and it automatically opens up a browser. Tiddly Desktop is basically a little mini web browser that was been designed just to read these TiddlyWiki HTML files. You open this and there's nothing here. It just says getting started. So it's going to ask you what the title of your wiki is. I'm just going to call this Design Research Demo. And I can just hit save. There's that is the save progress. So I want to add a new card. I'm going to hit plus to add a new card. So I've got a new card. So you name things, you can tag things. And then as you're sort of writing things in these areas, you can create hot links to stuff. So putting double brackets around a word will automatically, when you hit save, create now, this is a blue link now. So it knows it's supposed to be looking for a card called Design Research, and it made that. It just has no content. So I click this, it makes sure that sort of note card or tiddler is what they call them exists. And then we could define design research to aid in the development. And maybe I decide that research and design should have their own pages as well. And then you can see my sort of number of cards starts building over here. So this is my card viewer and editor. Here's my sort of universal card looker adder. And if all I want to do is just sort of create these interlinked cards and view them in kind of this text way, this TiddlyWiki just like immediately gets into this kind of, I can build this sort of virtual file folder of note cards that jump me back and forth between these little different tidbits of thinking and definitions and ideas that I collect. So that's pretty cool. If you've heard about this research methodology called Zettlekasten, which is sort of a process, a framework for using physical note cards to take notes in this way, this works really well for that kind of idea of like stacks of note cards that you've cleverly ordered and hierarchically organized, but also interconnected. This is sort of set up to do that without you having to really do anything. If you're also interested in the kind of features around seeing this like interconnected web of your ideas in a more visual way, then TiddlyRoam is, you can add that through like finding the right modules for TiddlyWiki, but TiddlyRoam has just sort of like already done that for you. So let me close this. Let me go back to my web browser here. And so let me just show you quickly TiddlyRoam instead. So if you go to tiddlyroam.org, the same thing, it sort of explains, shows you what it looks like. It's got the same kind of basic setup. You need Tiddly Desktop still, so you need to go download that. The quick start guide here just says download TiddlyRoam, download Tiddly Desktop, open TiddlyRoam in Tiddly Desktop. Bam, easy. Same thing that we just showed using TiddlyWiki. So download tiddlyroam.html. That will now be in my download folder here. So this I'll call TiddlyRoam demo. So I know where to look for that. Go back to Tiddly Desktop. Same thing, add wiki file, TiddlyRoam demo. Opens up a new window. You can see TiddlyRoam demos added down here now. And the layout and overall design isn't that much different. It's using a lot of the same basic themes because, like I said, it's built right on top of TiddlyWiki. These are open source projects, so you can kind of like fork and mess with these things however you want if you get into them, which can be a cool feature. The main difference here is that there's this map feature added, like recent. You can see the list of things just like you could in TiddlyWiki, but now we've got this map feature, which also shows which things getting started is connected to. So if I do plus and add a new it works the same way. You make the links that you want. So created this knowledge domain card. It's connected to design, research, sustainability, graphic design. That these are yellow means that they don't have, they are links, but they don't actually have pages to link to yet. So clicking on them sort of forces a card to be created. I hit edit and it actually then sort of says, oh, I'm really going to make this now. And now if I go back to my knowledge domain card here, there we go. We got knowledge domain linking to design. Okay, let's go back to our map. There we go. We got knowledge domain, and I can see that it's like showing you where else knowledge domain is sort of linking out to. And if we go back to sustainability, we just see that like sustainability and knowledge domain connect. We can see that as you as you sort of like input notes and think about what are these keywords that connect ideas together, what are these paths that are sort of taking me from one set of notes or concepts or quotes to another, you can pretty quickly build out some cool things that help you think about your topics interestingly. Anyway, I just wanted to show you all this. I thought it might be an interesting thing to play around with. Try out TiddlyRoam, try out TiddlyWiki. Let me know if you've got any other questions. And yeah, I hope this is a fun, useful tool for you in your design research moving forward. Thanks.